7 o'clock, and it's now time for the Morning Watch.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the award-winning show, The Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you are overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541, or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live in the first watch today. Review of performance of teams to the Goodwill Games in Barbados and NACAC Games in the Bahamas. And in second watch, examining who, why, and how. We will be voting in 2 weeks. For our social media question, we ask, will you be voting in the September 3 elections? Share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp, 876-997-3125, using the hashtag The Morning Watch. That is, again, 876-997-3125, using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your responses later on in the program, but first, here is iQuote.
All right, so today's iQuote says, if any man thinks ill of you, do not be angry with him, for you are far worse than he thinks you to be. And this one is from Charles Spurgeon.
I will leave that one alone. Good morning, Jukal.
Good morning.
The first watch will be back after this break.
From me, I pick me what me eat and no wait, sir. I saw me know say Fosca ingrained in Jamaica. Hey, what's in a bag? Me know me not try.
Fosca, ingrained in Jamaica.
I have decided to follow Jesus.
Montego Bay, get ready. Love 101 FM's Double the Love Tour is coming to Mega Mart this Saturday, August 23, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Join our hosts, Darren, the creative Jesus guy Mitchell, and Chantel Ella the Voice Wellington, with DJ Rebirth, keeping the vibe alive all day long. We'll have games, giveaways, prizes, and surprises, plus worship and live performances. You don't want to miss it. It's all happening thanks to our partners, Distinction College, Ministry of National Security, National Housing Trust, Mega Mart, and Professional Eye Care. Come on location and see what they have to offer you. Bring your family, bring your friends, and come experience Double the Love. Plenty things a keep. Fun a keep, games a keep, fellowship a keep. Will you be keeping too? Make sure you're there this Saturday, August 23 at Mega Mart, Montego Bay, only with Love 101, the family station.
We resident. Transform the nation. See we here well done. We will turn the world.
The following is paid for by the People's National Party.
Student loan debt should not hold back your future. The PNP government will cap loan payments based on your actual income. If you're not earning, you will not have to pay. Education will be a ladder to your future and the opportunity to succeed. I am Mark Golding, and Jamaica, time come for a better life.
The proceeding was paid for by the People's National Party.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly. Life-changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the Renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm Stokeley Marshall. About 40 swimmers were selected to represent Jamaica at the Goodwill Games held in Barbados from August 15th to 17th. It was an impressive medal haul. Also, another 21 athletes went into action this past weekend at the NACAC Senior Athletics Championships in Freeport, Bahamas. How did we fare in both events? Well, we have as our guest this morning to look at both. We have Christina Chuck Smith, manager for the Goodwill team, and Kathia Davis, host Sports Talk right here at Love 101 FM. Christina Chuck Smith and Kathia Davis, good morning.
Good morning, Stokeley. How are you?
I'm wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And our other, I think, is muted. Okay. So, shall we start with NACAC? Who do we have now? Do we have Kathia Davis? No? Both? Okay, let's start with you, Christina Chuck Smith. Good morning.
All right. Go ahead, Stokeley.
Yes. Christina Chuck Smith? Yes. I think we are just checking the audio. But how did we fare in both events, starting with the Goodwill Games?
The Goodwill performance from our team was fantastic. Definitely, it was an improvement from the last time we participated in the Goodwill Games. I think the last time we participated in the Goodwill Games, we placed fourth overall. This year, we participated in the Goodwill Swimming Championships, and we were able to place, in terms of overall, first but second in terms of points, and that's a drastic improvement, especially knowing that this meet is usually dominated by Bahamas and teams like Barbados. Those teams and Trinidad and Tobago, those teams are usually a stronger team than Jamaica's team. But this year, I know a lot of work, based on reports, a lot of work has been put in, and we've seen great improvements from our team this year at the Goodwill Championship. So it was, all in all, a fantastic performance, and I'm sure Christina is able to speak to how it was in terms of them organizing the team and how they came about, choosing the team to head to these championships.
So, Kathia Davis, thank you for that. But would you like to also help the listeners to understand first overall, but second in points?
Okay, so in terms of, Jamaica topped the medal standings, but based on the medals that you get, then those medals carry a certain point. Okay. So even though we topped the medal standings, because Bahamas had more gold medals than Jamaica, that's how they were able to finish.
With more points.
With more points, correct.
Okay, understood. Now, in terms of NACAC, any thoughts you want to share quickly before we bring in Christina?
Definitely. I think in terms of the NACAC games, we saw some outstanding performances. One that jumps out at me is Tyrese Taylor in the 800 meters. He was able to go lower, or to lower the national record in that particular event. Not only that, but the former national record holder was also in the event, who was Navaski Anderson, who also ran a time that was lower than the national record. But to point out is that with that time, Tyrese was able to move up the rankings, but not only that, but get an automatic qualification to the World Championships, which comes up later on next month. So he clocked a time of 1 minute 43.74 seconds. And the previous record was 1 minute 44.40 seconds, which was set in July of 2025. So both Navasky Anderson and Tyrese Taylor would have run faster than the record that was set just a month ago. So that for me was the stand-up performance in terms of the NACAT games that happened. I mean, obviously the USA, they seeded a bigger team than us, so they ended with a bigger medal haul than us. But I mean, in the same breath, Jamaica did do quite well at the NACAT games. Some persons were chasing World Championship qualification, like Christopher Taylor. He didn't get a chance to attain that World Championship qualification. And then there are others who were also searching for World Championship qualification. Some of them will be able to get it based on ranking. So at the World Championship, you qualify based on the automatic qualification of that particular event, or you are able to qualify through the world ranking. So for each event, the World Athletics has said, okay, we're going to take either 48 or 36. So it depends on where you are on the world ranking. And that will be the cutoff date to qualify for the World Championship, whether ranking or automatic qualification through the standard is going to be Sunday, August 24.
Let's try to bring in Christina Chuck Smith. Thank you, Kathia Davis. Thank you very much. Christina Chuck Smith, are we hearing you now? Christina Chuck Smith? Or is she muted? I think we're going to try to connect with Christina Chuck Smith by another means, because we are having a little challenge hearing her. Kathia Davis, before we head to the break, what would you say about expectations? Did we meet our expectations in both events? And just by the way, just for the benefit of the listeners, the Goodwill Games held were in relation to swimming, and that was in Barbados, of course. And the NACAC Senior Athletics Championships in Freeport, Bahamas, that was track and field. Kathia Davis, would you like to?
Sure. I think for the Goodwill Games, I think we would have exceeded the expectation, because, as I said, the last time we participated in the Goodwill Games, we finished fourth. For us to finish first in the medal haul and second overall, I think it's a great improvement for team, and it means that, in my estimation, swimming in Jamaica is going in the right direction. As it relates to the NACAT games, I'm not so sure in terms of getting expectation, because there were persons who were chasing World Championship automatic qualification. Christopher Taylor, Frederick Dakers, they weren't able to get it. So I'm not sure that the expectation, or some of the expectations, would have been met. And then there was also the cancellation of the under 23 segment of the NACAT game. So that also kind of, I think, impacted how we kind of put together the team for the senior championship. So, I mean, there are a lot of things, but I'm not sure that they were the things that we were chasing, that we got all of them, but we still had good performance.
Thank you for that.
Hi, Stokeley. I think I'm here now.
Oh, Christina Chuck Smith, good morning to you. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm well, thanks. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
Why are you sorry? Not your fault at all. Manager for the Goodwill team. How was it? How were the Goodwill? Well, we are now upon a break, Christina Chuck Smith. I'm so sorry. We're going to ask.
No problem. All right, thank you.
Upon the break,
I'll hold.
As well as, of course, Kathia Davis. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Turn the flame up and take it to 100. This summer we're turning up the love across Jamaica. It's the Double the Love Summer Tour with Love 101.
Everything I double.
Join us in 5 parishes for live broadcast of the Gospel Train and Youth Connection, plus community cook-offs, family sports, games, and good vibes from Portmore to St. Thomas, Manchester, Mobile, and Kingston.
I'm about to have a good day.
We're spreading faith, fun, and fellowship island-wide. And it all ends with a big back-to-school grand finale in Kingston. The Double the Love Summer Tour, powered by Love 101, the family station. Don't you miss it.
God made the universe, knows me by my name, so it's a good day. Baby in my arms, walking through the neighborhood.
Mama work hard, for real. She do the most to send me and my brother go school. So, the dream was always to go to university. Well, I fulfilled 2 dreams with 1 Jane Bank savings plan, you know. I further my education and I make mama proud.
See so you can make the park, travel far, graduate like a star.
Stop wishing you could. With your Jane Bank savings, you absolutely can. Jane Bank will help you find a way.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the first watch, and the topic is review of performance of teams to the Goodwill Games in Barbados and NACAC Games in the Bahamas. Our guests are Christina Chuck Smith, manager for the Goodwill team, and Kathia Davis, host, Sports Talk, Love 101 FM. Just before the break, Christina Chuck Smith, you were beginning to tell us about the Goodwill Games that had taken place. Would you like to give us an overall view as to how that went? We already heard from Kathia Davis.
Yes, I hope I don't repeat too much of what she said, but we came second in the points, but as she said, we did come first on the medal haul with 101 medals, 48 of those being gold. Now that is double what we did last year. So not only did we move up from 4th place to 2nd place, but we more than doubled the medal haul, because last year it was 49 medals in total. So with 101 this year, we more than doubled it. And we came first in the female category with 757 points. We had 3 age group point trophies, 8 and under boy Dominic Whitelock, 11-12 girl Annalisa Cook, and 15-17 girl Renee Chung. We also had 12 meet records and unofficially 35 national age group records. That's between individual and relay. And the children had 157 personal best times. Now that's amazing. We sat in the stands. I was both in the stands with the spectators and also on the side with the swimmers and management team. And we were just in awe of how hard they worked. I mean, I was at every training session with them, meaning the team training sessions, and I saw them putting in the work. But to see them actually execute on all 3 days, we were just amazed. So amazed that even Bahamas was. They sat quietly. They weren't cheering as loud as they normally cheer. They weren't, boasting as they usually do. They knew that we were that close to them this year. It was just amazing watching them. It was truly, and hearing the anthem 48 times, they were tired. They were tired of hearing our anthem, and we sang it loudly each and every time we could.
Interesting. That was amazing. And in terms of expectations, were you expecting to do as well as you did, or were you shocked?
Well, as I said, having watching them, I knew they were going to do well. But being there, feeling the excitement, seeing them do it, I mean, they exceeded expectations for sure. We did expect them to do well, but doing this well, we were quite excited about it.
What does that say for you for the future of swimming in Jamaica? And after this crop goes through, what about the next crop to come up?
And that's the thing. So we have another set ready. These are going to move on. Some will stay with Goodwill because of the age restrictions. You can start as early as 7 in Goodwill. For Cursta, you have to be in the 11-12 to 12 age group category. So some will still stay in that Goodwill, but some definitely I feel will move on to Cursta and higher meets, because they did it spectacularly. I mean, I think some have actually unofficially done times that could get them in, but because it's a short course meet and Curtis is a long course meet, they can't use those times. But all they have to do is swim them again within the next few months because the qualifying period has already started for Curvesta. But I do see them vying hard for those spots because I mean, the amazing performances. They finished to the wall. They executed everything their coaches taught them. Into the wall, out of the wall, head down finishes. They knew the assignment and they definitely accomplished it.
And what of the coaches now? Excellent segue.
The coaches were amazing. I mean, they gave them all, not just the actual in the water coaching, but there were many team meetings where they spoke to them about what they could control. The preparation, they controlled it. The execution, they control that. Only go in with what you can control. I remember hearing Coach Lemon, the head coach, saying that many times. Coach Prince and Coach Norman, they also encourage them so much, not only in the water, as I said, but outside of the water. Do what you can do. Concentrate on what you can do. Get into the wall, get out of the wall. But they didn't own it was not just physical, but mental and emotional. So even when they came out after not performing how they thought, they explained to them, use this energy and go into the next race. And you could see it. You had some who came second thinking they were going to come first, but then they used that energy and they went out and they won the next race. So it wasn't just the physical that they dealt with, but mental and emotional. It was amazing.
Yes. Sports is oftentimes very mental.
Yes, definitely.
Mental, very, very, very mental. Speaking as someone who does a lot of swimming myself, it's very mental.
Yes, wonderful. Yes.
Yes.
And as I said, with 7-year-olds and 8-year-olds, you have to be very careful because you want them to continue, and it can affect them if you don't. Speak to them properly at this age. And so it was great though. They were happy. They didn't want to leave us when it was time to hand back over to the parents. They had formed such a wonderful bond, not just with their own swimmers, but with us, the management team, the coaches, the physiotherapist, the doctor, the chaperone, myself as team manager. It really was an amazing experience. Parents were all happy with us. Kids were happy. It was an amazing experience.
Thank you for that. Kathia Davis, how does all of this strike you? Swimming, track and field, and of course there are other sports. We keep hearing about new ones, and there are some which need to be revived and made to get a little bit more traction. But what is this saying for you about the future of sports in Jamaica as a whole?
Well, especially for the Goodwill game,
yeah.
Because of the NACAT games were the seniors, but to hear our 7-year-olds doing well at a championship, this will create for them to be able to, when they move up the ranking, to participate in Carista games. So when they go to Carista games, they don't get shocked by participating in an international or regional competition. So it gives them the experience, and that is what is always needed in sports. When the athletes start participating at an early age, then they become world beaters, because when they travel to a different country, when they see different competitors, when I cannot just imagine, a team like for Jamaica to go to Goodwill games and quiet a team like Bahamas, that's a big thing. Because regionally, Bahamas is always the loudest team. Whether they just always have a big team contingent, so they're just always the loudest. And for that to happen, I mean, my heart is overwhelmed to hear that. But it means that we are putting in the work. It means that, the Swimming Association, they're putting in the work to ensure that there's continuity. We want to build more Alia Atkinson in the sport of swimming. We want to see them excel on the world stage, but it starts somewhere, and it starts with events like the Goodwill Championship.
Well, I see them training, so I can believe that they did well, but hearing it coming from you, Christina Chuck-Smith, and as well as you, Kathia Davis, I now I know, okay, so these are the people who I was watching.
Yes, for sure.
Yes, I saw them in the pool. I saw them. So in terms of the challenges, though, starting with you, Christina Chuck-Smith, do you think that there are things that we still need to get overcome, deal with, address, in terms of continuity, the next crop of coaches, And
No, I think our coaches are amazing. What I do wish we had was more facilities. I know that's hard. You know, with track and field, you can run anywhere. Football, you can kick ball anywhere. With swimming, though, we need pools. We have a few pools, but Montego Bay is lacking in pools. And I will tell you that we had a contingent from Montego Bay that was amazing. They were spectacular in their races, but they don't have the access to the pools that we have in Kingston. And even the ones we have in Kingston, sometimes they're full, you know, so we're trying to barter for time in the pools. So I think that's the only challenge, which is hard, I understand, obviously, because as I said, you can kick ball anywhere, you can, you know, run anywhere, but you need certain things for a pool, for swimming, you know, which obviously involves a pool, it involves blocks, it involves proper walls, which I've been to Montego Bay to watch to the water pool, and I saw them training in the sea. Yes. Now, I'm probably telling you that is not the easiest thing to do. Fighting those waves does make you stronger, but of course, it's also harder. You don't have the walls to push off from. You don't have the diving boards to practice off of. So for them to make we had 4 of them qualify out of Montego Bay. It's amazing, and I'm very proud of them for that. Some of them, it was their first experience. Others that been there before. And so, you know, I know we're building out of the Montego Bay as well. But pools, that's what I would say is what we still need. But luckily we have some sponsors, so hopefully they will, you know, more will come on, because we had some amazing sponsors this time around. And, you know, with how we're progressing, I'm hoping we can get some more sponsorship and maybe being able to build more facilities, even if not a 50-meter pool, at least a 25-meter pool, because that will also help.
True, interesting. And it's also a life skill, you know. Swimming is a life skill. Everyone should learn how to swim. Kathia Davis, in terms of track and field, any challenges you think are out there that we're not addressing fully?
I mean, in terms of challenges for track and field, it's always the support for the athlete.
Explain what you mean by the support.
Support for athletes in terms of
financial support.
Financial support, right. So in terms of how much the government and sponsorships and, you know, just corporate Jamaica can do for athletes in terms of their representation. Track and field, like swimming, is a very expensive sport. I mean, this goes across the sports, but especially a sport like track and field that really takes a toll on your body. When you talk about meals, when you talk about you know, like just the training, rehydration, all of that. When you talk about massage therapies and coaching, all of that costs a lot of money.
It costs a lot of money, yes.
And if you are not at the top of the sport or up there in the sport, one, you're not able to attract great sponsorship. And so a lot of our athletes either leave the sport, especially when they even pick up a small injury, they have to leave the sport and go find a job because they're just not able to sustain the amount of bills that they have. So I think in terms of monetary sponsorship, and being able to build a life, because at the end of the day, this is their career, you know. I think some of them, and we would have seen, you know, made decisions recently not to run for Jamaica or participate for Jamaica anymore. Not because I think a great deal, but a bigger deal of it is creating a future for them in terms of life after track and field, and a future for their families. So yeah.
Yes. So what's next for our competitors? In a couple seconds from each of you. Christina Chuck-Smith, what's next?
Well, for now, they're on a break because they have had intense training for the last 6 weeks and then 3 full days. But we do have some swimming coming up. Our major one is in December, where we will have overseas swimmers coming in. And that's the first qualifier for the next Goodwill Games, the next Goodwill Championships in Trinidad next year. So the Christmas Open in December is the next big one. But we do have some in October and November. So we do hope that some of your listeners will come out and support, because they do love the support. When people are watching and cheering, it helps them to continue to being great.
I'll have to leave it there. And Kathia Davis, what's next?
Next for track and field is the World Athletics Championships happening in Tokyo from September 13 to 21.
Some more on that. Ladies, I want to thank the both of you for being guests in this first watch. Very interesting conversation. And
Thank you for having us.
thank you
Thank you
very
very much.
much. Mrs. Chuck Smith and Miss Davis, thank you. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back at the morning watch.
Start your journey with a JN Small Business Loan with small business loans as little as $10,000 and up to $4 million. The time by JN Small Business Loan is
7:30.
It's back to school and time to do the math. Limited funds divided by big school fees.
Stretched budget minus book list, backpack, and new uniforms.
With Sagicor Bank Back to School unsecured loan, you can borrow up to $5 million. No security needed. Fast approval. Up to 5 years to repay. And flexible loan options.
Problem solved, Dad.
Crown.
Thanks, Daddy.
Be crowned a Back to School champion parent with Sagicor Bank unsecured loans. Apply at sagicor.com. Conditions apply.
Did you know that the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development has 9 shelters across the island with plans of building 14 more? From Kingston to St. James, there are several places for the most vulnerable to call home. From our 24-hour transitional and drop-in centers to our night shelters, there is always a roof and warm meal waiting for you. We are here to help you rehabilitate and reintegrate. The government pledges its continued commitment to helping our most vulnerable. Contact your municipal corporation if you or anyone you know might need to use the shelter. Local government is working for you.
If you want $10,000 to spend this summer, what would you spend it on?
Something nice. I'd book our family dream vacation, theme park, or an all-inclusive.
I'd pay off my student loan and start my master's program.
I'd go shopping and get a whole new wardrobe.
They've got plans. What's yours? Use your NCB Visa credit card. Every 25,000 Jamaican dollars you spend is a chance to win $10,000. Something nice for the summer. Promotion ends September 14. Conditions apply. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act of Jamaica.
The following is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party. The proceeding was a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
The Grace Food Festival is back for 2025. If you love good food, fun time, and good moves, make a move down to Hope Gardens on Saturday, August 23, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. for a fun-filled day. That is good food, fun, and time with family. Make a good move to Hope Gardens on Saturday, August 23 from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. for a fun-filled day.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We have in the Gleaner today, as you take a look at what is in the newspapers that Jamaicans and others are saying and doing, we have here in the Gleaner, razor thin. The opposition People's National Party, PNP, is holding on to a razor thin but declining lead over the governing Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, as a new public opinion poll shows more undecided voters now favoring the JLP, and that story continues. We have also in the Gleaner, 8 back in custody after St. Andrew jail break. 8 back in custody after St. Andrew jail break. We turn now to the Daily Observer. We have here on the front page of the Daily Observer, Cartel Case Lesson. This story by Alicia Dunkley Willis. Cartel Case Lesson. Chief Jurist points to internal inefficiencies effect on dispensing justice. Head of Jamaica's Judiciary Chief Justice Brian Sykes on Monday highlighted dancehall artist Adidja Vibes Cartel Palmer's murder case as the poster child for, quote, how internal inefficiencies can affect justice, unquote, and stressed that time standards established for the courts are of prime importance in dispensing justice. And we also have reference to a story here. Big wage meeting with teachers today. Big wage meeting with teachers today. It's referenced on the front page, but there's more detail on page 4 of the Daily Observer. Those and other stories in our newspapers. Coming up next, we'll read through some of the feedback from our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp question, which is: will you be voting in the September 3 elections? Will you be voting in the September 3 elections? If you haven't done so yet, leave your responses on our Facebook or YouTube Love 1FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes to 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
Did you know that you can vote without the new voter ID card? Once you're registered to vote, that is, your name is on the voters list, you can vote in the upcoming election. If you don't have your voter ID card, visit your polling station on election day and our trained election day workers will assist you. That was a message from the Electoral Office of Jamaica.
You know what happens when you mix one packet of Tang? Flavor, freshness, and good vibes fill the whole big jug. It keeps giving more and more, enough to share with family and friends. Now with vitamin C, D, zinc, and fewer calories, so everyone feels great. Make Tang and turn any moment into something delicious. Tang, the flavor that keeps giving and refreshing.
Don't let freshness ditch you when you need it the most. Wash your clothes with Downy Softener to keep dazzling everyone around you from day to night. Try Downy Softener now. Downy.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Now for your responses to our social media question, which is: will you be voting in the September 3 elections, Jukal?
All right, so we have some responses. Edna from Montego Bay, let's hear from her.
Good morning, Morning Watch. Good morning, Love 101 listeners and staff. I got fabulous day to you all. Yes, I will definitely be voting in this upcoming election.
Cherry from Spanish Town says, good morning. It's my responsibility and right as a citizen of Jamaica to exercise. So, yes.
Okay, well, there you have it. And we move right into the second watch. 2 weeks from now, will you be one of the just over half of Jamaica's voting population that is planning to cast a ballot in the September 3 general elections? Well, there's a poll conducted by Market Research Services Limited between August 2 and 11 among 1,008 registered voters aged 18 and over, asking if they would vote or not in this year's elections. We are here to look at the findings. We have as our guests O'Dane Brooks, political commentator, and Pastor Christopher Kennedy, Pastor Joyland and Abrams Mennonite Churches. O'Dane Brooks, Pastor Christopher Kennedy, good morning to you both.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for returning, Mr. Brooks. You're no stranger to the Morning Watch, Mr. Brooks.
Absolutely not.
Exactly. Pastor Kennedy. Mr. Kennedy, I think you're muted, sir. Would you like to unmute yourself? We need to hear you, Pastor.
Yes, I'm here.
Excellent.
Morning, Stokeley.
Thank you.
Always fun, being around you. It's great. It's always exciting.
Okay, Pastor. Now, first of all, let us take a look at some of the findings in this latest Don Anderson poll. And it is showing a number of things. The latest survey conducted August 2 to 11 found, among other things, 40.6% of respondents hold a favorable view of the JLP. 40.5% expressed an unfavorable opinion of the JLP. On the other hand, 35.4% view the PNP favorably, 30.9% hold an unfavorable view of the PNP. So you have more persons with a favorable view of the JLP, but you have a pretty large number of persons, percentage wise, I should say, with an unfavorable view of the JLP. Favorable 40.6, unfavorable 40.5. When it comes to the PNP, there's a bit more of a gap. Favorable 35.4, unfavorable 30.9. So the unfavorability for the for the PNP, the unfavorability percentage for the PNP is lower. When it comes to the leaders, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has a 41% favorability rating. When it comes to Mark Golding, his favorability rating is 38.5%. So, whereas there's a favorability for the PNP of 35.4%, Mr. Golding himself has a favorability rating which is higher than that for the party. Interesting. When it comes to Mr. Holness, his favorability is 41%. And if you remember, the favorability for the JLP, the party that he leads, is 40.6. So he's slightly ahead in terms of favorability over his party. Mr. Golding has a slightly larger favorability percentage gap over his own party. Now, on the other hand, Mr. Holness is viewed unfavorably by 37% as against Golding, whose unfavorability rating stands at 27%. That is also interesting. And in terms of the unfavorability for Mr. Holness, remember the unfavorability now for the party is 40.5. Mr. Holness's unfavorability is 37. And the unfavorability of the PNP, as it is stated here, is 30.9%, whereas the unfavorability rating for Mr. Golding himself, Mark Golding, is 27%. So, starting with you, O'Dane Brooks, how does all of this strike you? Do the numbers matter to you as a commentator?
It does, because in the realm of politics, polling represents a key measure that political pundits use to assess the general mood of the population at a point in time. And it's key to note that it is at a point in time because the political dynamics is such that one event can change the entire landscape. And so the numbers should be read through that prism. And it is pretty interesting when you dissect the numbers and put it in the context of the usual challenges that incumbents face. And you might see some of that being borne out in some of the unfavorability numbers for the prime minister. But at the same time, you also have to acknowledge that his numbers have been really resilient given all of the challenges, whether socioeconomic challenges and other related challenges within the country. You would expect that his numbers would be at the bottom of the water, if you could say. So he's showing significant level of resilience. The PNP, on the other hand, definitely is reasserting itself from the dismal numbers over the past couple of years. But I don't necessarily think that these numbers should be comfort to the PNP. because, as I state, it
Ordained
is
Brooks only because of time. And I know we haven't brought you in yet, Pastor Kennedy, but we are now upon a break. So hold that thought, Mr. Brooks. And Pastor Kennedy, we'll be hearing your views as well. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Make a good move to the Grace Food Festival, August 23rd, Hope Gardens. Children under 12 enter free. The time by Grace Food Festival is
7:45.
If you love good food, fun, and time with family, make a good move to the 2025 Grace Food Festival. Join us on Saturday, August 23rd from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. at Hope Gardens. We've got something for the whole family, live entertainment, Kiddies Village, sponsors booths, delicious meals, and much more. Tickets cost $1,000 free sold and $1,500 at the gate for adults, with free entry for children under 12. See you at the 2025 Grace Food Festival.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the second watch having a very interesting discussion with two individuals. We have here Mr. Ordained Brooks, political commentator, and Pastor Christopher Kennedy, Pastor Jarland and Abrams Mennonite Churches. And the topic is examining who, why, and how we will be voting in 2 weeks. Mr. Ordained Brooks, just before the break, you are making a couple of comments and your thoughts in terms of the JLP, the PNP. I read some numbers on the platform here in relation to a recent Don Anderson poll, favorability, unfavorability for the PNP, JLP, and the leaders of both parties. Continue, Ordained Brooks.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. So, as I was alluding before the break.
And by the way, Mr. Brooks, Stokeley is fine. You can say Stokeley.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I think the numbers is a wake-up call for both parties, and it is reflective of the dynamics right now that any game can play, as we would say. So both parties have to be in their engine room and to see how they can win over the minds and hearts of Jamaicans, because the numbers are instructive, and ultimately it will come down to who is able to bring people along with them.
Who is able to bring people along with them, including the undecided, or what we call the undecided?
Absolutely, because that is where I believe the deciding factor will be. Because one thing for sure, the base of both political parties are fully activated, but ultimately, for the deciding factor, it's going to require the undecided to tilt the scale in a particular direction. So the messaging from both parties must evolve from just pandering to their base, but more so reaching out to the uncommitted who are more interested in the policies that the political parties are offering.
Interesting you said the policies. Apart from the policies, how important is philosophy, or the philosophy of each party? All the parties.
Very important. Very important.
I'm not sure if we're hearing that from either of the two major parties. Interestingly, from the other parties, which are more recent in terms of their formation, the UIC and the JPP, United Independence Congress, and the Jamaica Progressive Party, I think we can more or less discern or see their philosophies in their manifestos. But in terms of the PNP and the JLP, I'm not hearing that being espoused as much. You have to sort of listen carefully, see if you can figure it out, kind of thing.
Indeed. And I would say it might reflect somewhat of a convergence with both parties' philosophy, because in the 70s, we could say both parties were diametrically opposed in terms of their fundamental philosophy. But I think there has become some convergence around core principles. It's now a matter of who can implement and execute. And that is where I think the difference really is in terms of how you sway the electorate. But I don't get that diametrical.
How much
Look,
of a convergence, though? Is it that because if you take a look at the PNP's manifesto, there's a lot in it which appears to be oriented in terms of social programs. I'm not saying the JLP is not doing the same thing, but is it that there might still be, can I say, a remnant of some amount of, you know, I don't want to say socialism, but looking at things through the prism or a lens that is a little bit more on that side, a little bit more to the left. I don't know. I'm wondering. Whereas the JLP seems to be more focused on where will we find the money to do X, where will we find the money to do that, which appears to be a little bit more conservative, at least on the economic side. Mr. Brooks?
I would say yes. And I think the democracy and the body politic has evolved where people are looking at both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So whilst we're strong on the social side, people are maturing to also ask, how will we be able to fund these social programs in a prudent way? So I think it will ultimately come back to which party is able to put together a proposal or a plan that is foolproof and answers all of the question as to the social impact one, but also how it will be financed in a fiscally prudent manner. So those are some of the things I believe both parties will be grappling with.
Understood, Pastor Christopher Kennedy. Sir,
Yes, sir.
in terms of who, why, and how will we be voting in 2 weeks? Your thoughts and even the points we just raised a while ago. To what extent do you think the philosophy of both parties, when I say both, I mean the PNP and the JLP, not pushing the other two parties aside at all, the UIC and the JPP, but in terms of these two parties, which at the moment, based on the numbers, one of them is more likely to form government come September 3. Your thoughts, Pastor Kennedy?
Well, if I were the JLP, I would not be interfacing with the JT at this time. I would have thought that they would have tried to resolve that.
You mean the Jamaica Teachers? You mean the Jamaica Teachers Association?
Jamaica Teachers Association. I would have thought that they would have tried, because we've seen administrations before doing that, managing these social concerns so that when the time comes to vote, they don't have to be worrying about negative effects. And they seem to be playing around with that. And am I detecting a kind of overconfidence? They need to be very, very careful, because this thing is razor thin. Another thing with Stokeley is that the people, I think, this is my opinion now, just kind of understanding Jamaicans generally, the people who are discontented in Jamaican politics might be the very ones who end up being more motivated to vote. There are many people who would say, I favor the JLP and I favor the Prime Minister, but they might not go out and vote. But the people who are discontented tend to be more ready to vote, and it's harder to distract them from voting. So I think that the Jamaica Labour Party needs to be very, very careful in terms of philosophy. I am somebody who is very critical of the parties because of that, because when you have a clear philosophy, you have a certain level of guidelines that you have to follow. And because of that, people can assess you better. But because of the kind of dog eat dog kind of way that the political parties need to survive, they don't want to do that. And so people will not be able to hold them to much standards. There's too much, I think, favor, kit and kin kind of thing in Jamaican politics. I see a lot of things going on. You can't believe. I'm a teacher and I'm in a school system, and I cannot believe some of the things I see happening, and they are happening because of political allegiances. And I think they need to be very, very careful about that. In terms of how people are going to vote, I am not sure, but I'm really bothered, if I were the JLP, about that the lack of favorability that we're seeing there. It really is distressing from their point of view.
Interesting, interesting. Ordain Brooks, in terms of gender, and does anything strike you? Men versus women voting?
That is always an interesting dynamics, and it's interesting because when you look at the numbers, although men outstrip women by a small margin, it's always interesting to look at the dynamics of how women are engaged in the political process. And over time, Dan Anderson's poll and other polls have shown that women tend to have a greater favorability for the prime minister. I'm not sure if it is indicative of what they are feeling at the household level, in terms of some of the actions taken over time with incremental movements in minimum wage, because a lot of women control the household. So I'm not sure if that's a reflection in some of those numbers, especially among women.
Yeah.
Men usually have a firm standing in terms of their tendency to vote, but as Reverend Kennedy made mention earlier, it is about how do you ensure that people are not voting against you and not necessarily that they're voting for a political party, but they're voting against you. So it's a matter of how the GLP and the PNP can curate their message to target both genders, understanding that ultimately all votes will be very important. But the gender dynamics is really important, and especially at the household level, it is significant, especially through the lens of women-led household, because when women are put in a position to make the budget, they must be able to see that their circumstances have improved or not improved. And that I believe will also help to trickle down in some of the polling numbers we will see.
Okay, thank you, sir. And Pastor Kennedy, before we wrap, the relevance of the other two parties, the UIC and the JPP, do you see them, in your view, affecting the numbers of persons voting for the two major parties? Are they going to pull some of the votes away? If they'll pull any of the votes away, will it be significant enough? Will it matter? And overall, it is indicated that there'll be an increased voter turnout for this election. Do you think that that could have an impact on the final results, Pastor Kennedy, before we wrap today?
Well, in terms of these two parties, I think the UIC is a joke. It sounds like a woke party. And I'm saying, why would a woke entity want to enter Jamaican politics? And Jamaica just certainly isn't.
You think some of their ideas are too left-leaning? You think some of their ideas are left-leaning?
Yeah, it's amazing. And I don't know where they're going. I don't know what kind of message they're trying to send, what they hope to achieve. I don't know. It could be, as you just suggested, that maybe they're trying to tilt, maybe get votes from one side to the other because they're maybe one of the major parties that they support. But it just sounds like a joke to me. And this other one with the JPP, you said is the name of it. And this thing about, with I think something about Rastafarianism and so on. I don't know. They just don't seem serious to me at all. And I don't think they will in any way affect the outcome. It's like them not being there, and being there is really no difference at all. It seems to be a joke.
And there's something in their manifesto as well about the Maroons.
Yeah, that was interesting. I think maybe that's something that will kind of perk your interest.
I'm getting a signal. Do you think the outcome of the elections will be determined largely because it's expected that there'll be an increased voter turnout?
Yeah, it could be if it increases, and that is usually dangerous for the incumbent because sometimes it's because of the next party trying to come in, people trying to vote them out.
Have to leave it there this morning. I want to thank both of you, Mr. Brooks and Pastor Kennedy. And just for the benefit of the listeners and for all concerned, I personally have no issues with any religion you want to practice. I just want to make that absolutely clear because we don't want it to appear as if we're discriminating against anyone's religion. So I want to thank both of you gentlemen for being guests with us in the Morning Watch. Thank you very much for your time and for your thoughts. And thank you, listeners, for being with us. Join us again next week as we look at other topical and controversial issues. And of course, visit the Love 101 FM YouTube channel and Facebook page, and now TikTok at Love 101 FM Jamaica for this and all other Love 101 FM programs. And of course, listen to the Morning Watch by downloading our Love 101 app to stay connected to us, the family station here at Love 101 FM, the number one gospel station in Jamaica. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer Kathy Gill and to our guests, and join Reverend Dr. Dallin to start next week as he looks at the issues of the day. I am Stokeley Marshall, handing back to Love in the Morning with Jokal.